Hello, proxies. Well, Burnice, can you turn that down? Thanks. Hello, proxies. Welcome to this deep dive into Burnice's mechanics and playstyle. I'm FlagonIQ, and I'll be your guide today as we explore this rabbit hole. This will not be a kit reading nor a build guide, but I will talk about the nuances of stat priority, including crit at the end. Additionally, a build and team guide will be linked in the description. We'll talk about what's hidden between the lines of our tooltips, so you can make the most of your shiny new hot grill. Now then, let's get started. Scorch is the core of Burnice's kit. It's a mark on enemies that Burnice can apply with her charged attack, EX special, chain, or ultimate while in nitro fuel cocktail state. She enters the battlefield in this state with full heat, but will lose it if her heat ever hits 0, which also removes all existing Scorch marks. When that happens, you will have to hit 50 heat to regain the ability to Scorch. It's not really that big of an issue to run out of heat, since you have to on-field her to build heat anyway, and 50 heat is quick to generate, if you have the energy. When your other characters hit Scorched enemies, all Scorched enemies they hit take fire damage and burn anomaly. Then, Burnice loses 8 heat, no matter how many enemies it procs on. Scorch then goes in a 1.5 second global cooldown. This means when fighting enemy waves, it's best to try to hit them all with AoE abilities. Enemies will be marked with Scorch as soon as they are hit by the relevant abilities. This means you could swap cancel another character's delayed attack, such as Lucy's special, and then apply Scorch before it hits. Heat generation and consumption rates. The calculations on screen for heat generation and consumption have a slightly pessimistic assumption of 1 stun and ult per 40 seconds. Under these conditions, M0 Burnice with no extra sources of energy will run out of heat in 2 minutes. This should be enough to clear most fights. You can more than double this timer by running a 2-piece swing jazz. Burnice's SIG almost removes energy constraints. Running energy regen in slot 6 completely trivializes energy, but is a huge damage loss. Burnice's basic attack string has incredibly weak damage and daze multipliers. Combined with the fact that she can't proc Scorch herself, the devs are basically screaming at us to keep her off field. Charged attack has a fairly steep cost of 20 heat. Notably, it always consumes the full 20 heat, whether you do a short spin or the full spin. Compared to Scorch, its damage profile leans towards the anomaly side. Its long animation means its use comes at the cost of Scorch procs, so I mainly recommend it in multi-target scenarios where you have poor ways to proc Scorch in an AoE. It's not all bad news, as it does help gap close, refund about 8 energy, transition to double stream, and is a safe swap. Here's how charged attacks and Scorch stack up to each other in terms of heat to value. Scorch has the advantage in hit damage but loses in anomaly application. However, charged attack still does not win in damage without unrealistic and suboptimal AP values of over 530. You can use charged attacks to accelerate Burnice's burn application at the cost of some heat. EX Special. Burnice's EX has 2 versions, single and double. Hold to maintain, release to fire a blast. Pressing EX again during single will switch to double stream. If you release the single blast, you have until Burnice starts to stand back up from this pose to start a double stream. Double Shot consumes twice the energy for both Continuous Spray and Fire Blast. Double Stream only does 76% more damage, 55% more daze, and 50% more anomaly, but Double Fire Blast does 3 times more damage and daze, and twice the anomaly. When optimizing for damage, you should always end with a Double Shot Fire Blast and skip the single Fire Blast. You can input dodges while firing a single stream, but Burnice becomes stationary for double stream. She will continue to track her target by rotating. Burnice can skip to double stream after her charged attack, assist follow-up, and chain attack. You can start holding the skill button early and it will transition for you. These transitions allow you to start EX channels with only 10 energy. However, going from single to double stream with the double tap of EX is incredibly fast anyway. Iframes. Burnice has a bunch of iframes that are quite easy to use. Her animations are snappy and flow very well from one to the other, making her a surprisingly evasive character. Ending Burnice's charged attack grants her iframes. Most jumps in the game are in fact iframes, but the starts of the iframes are very inconsistent. Burnice's iframes start very early, they begin as soon as you release the attack button. Initiating either of her EX specials, including transitioning from single to double, grants iframes. Releasing the Fire Blast also grants iframes. Burnice has a very valuable ult, as it offers high damage and a quick assist that allows your other anomaly unit to take the field quickly after it starts. The anomaly application is between a full single and double stream. It fills about half of a boss's anomaly bar with AM Disc 6. Like most other ults, it also has extremely high interrupt value, but she does it from off-field, which allows another character to set up safely in most situations. This is particularly valuable for helping Piper get some safe spin time before the enemy is stunned. Now let's put these two ults together and figure out how to play Burnice. First, let's go over your goal as Burnice. More than half of Burnice's DPS comes from Scorch procs. You want to apply Scorch, refill heat, and swap to someone else as soon as possible. 99% of the time, you should not be doing much other than using EX special or ult. Burnice's parry is weak, but do what you gotta do. Because her double blast is her most efficient move at converting energy to damage and time to heat, it is theoretically most effective to sneak Burnice in for some short channels into double blast, but you don't have to overthink it. Minimizing her field time is priority number 1. The other 1% is when you're trying to manage heat for some reason, such as preparing for an oncoming wave or floor. Burnice won't proc Scorch herself, and you can generate energy. The quickest way to apply Scorch is just to tap EX. This also wastes the least heat as an opener. I don't recommend using 20 heat for charge attack as an opener just to not overcap on heat. Grouping. Learn to group mobs together by pushing ranged mobs together and then letting melee mobs come to you. Then you can scorch them all together easily with the massive AoE of Double Stream EX. Burnice will aim at the closest enemy, so the closer you are, the harder it will be to fine-tune the angle. She has surprisingly high interrupt on her double stream, which keeps her safe while channeling against grouped mobs. Practical use of iframes. When on-fielding Burnice, you can often charge into danger as long as you have energy, and if you don't have energy, Burnice should probably not be on field anyway. Your ultimate goal will be to channel double stream and fill her heat. Burnice has 3 iframes on the way there, starting single stream, switching to double stream, and releasing the final blast. If you release the single stream and delay the double stream slightly, you can even have 4 iframes. Enemies are hard pressed to force Burnice to resort to dodging. When to ult. Avoid overcapping on heat. This is true in general, but it also only matters if you run out before the battle ends. It's also more important to not lose ult casts than it is to ult in stun phase, so don't overcap decibels for half a minute. You can ult out of a double shot, but let the fire blast go off first. Listen for the sound. Always use the quick assist, or her ult will end significantly sooner. If you activate a chain attack, don't use Burnice early or you'll yoink her right out of her ult. Swap cancelling. Burnice doesn't have long animations to swap cancel, so it can only really save you a button press. Swapping out of her EX ends it immediately, but she has a noticeable linger time, leaving her vulnerable to getting hit. Swapping out of her charged attack also ends it immediately, but she doesn't linger on field. Build advice. Many people are interested in the value of crit on Burnice, me included. Unfortunately, my calcs show that the preferred stats are always attack percent and AP, with attack winning even before capping out Burnice's core passive. In fact, I would even confidently recommend attack percent disc 4, but let your substat quality decide. Stat priority should be attack percent, AP, then crit. Please feel free to copy my spreadsheet in the description and play around with the assumptions and values. On non-disorder teams, AP drops in value massively compared to attack percent. Crit overtakes AP to take second place, but Chaos Jazz is still best in slot. You should definitely not run Anomaly Mastery in non-disorder teams. Speaking of Anomaly Mastery, in disorder teams, you should try to tune your anomaly units to roughly match each other in application rate over the duration of a fight. It's most important for dot-type anomaly units to not override their own dots. AP gets stronger as we downgrade from bosses to elites, but not enough to beat attack percent. For other details, check the sheets. And that's all I've got for you this time. Thanks a ton to everyone still here. I think Burnice is both incredibly powerful and satisfying, but also straightforward to play. As our premier off-field damage dealer, she can be slapped into pretty much any team to help it clear content right now, to say nothing of her power in top-end teams. If you've learned something today, or just enjoyed this dive, please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, have some steak from Grillmaster Burnice, and I'll see you in the hollows. Low on Denny's? Check out this Hollow Zero speedrunning guide. I also have a deep dive on Lucy,